What fan theory do you 100% accept as true? The reason the glass slipper in Cinderella didn't turn back to a regular slipper or disappear at midnight is because the fairy godmother was messing with us. Her main goal was to set Cinderella up for life, and to do that she needed a way for the prince to find her. She could easily have magic Cinderella into the life she wanted, arbitrary midnight deadline be damned, but instead the fairy godmother decided to make the prince want her for her own qualities and to prove his love by tracking Cinderella down. It's like the theory in Aladdin that it's all in pursuit of his first wish, that is, to make Aladdin a prince. He doesn't become a prince until he marries Jasmine and the Sultan changes the rules. Until then, he only appears to be a prince. Until that point, the genie is acting in pursuit of a larger goal. Magic users are tricksy. The Titanic's Jack didn't drown. He only pretended to. A clever criminal. He'd actually stolen the jewel from Rose and replaced it with a replica. It was a male honeypot maneuver. He found his way into a lifeboat, landed in New York, sold the jewel on the black market, and became Jack J. Gatsby, mysterious millionaire playboy with a vague military history who is forever searching for another chance at true love. I believe there was a fan-written short story about how the alien creature from The Thing didn't think it was doing anything wrong, and saw itself as a hero. All other races it encountered in the universe were exactly like the Thing, and they willingly assimilated with each other. Then, the Thing comes to Earth and is confused as to why the resident hive mind isn't willing to assimilate. But then the Thing is horrified to realize that each human, plant, and animal is its own individual, independent of the others, and doomed to die and go extinct. It tries to assimilate them in order to free them from death and to ensure their genes will live on forever. That said, humans very much enjoy their individuality, hence the conflict, but I believe that the Thing thought it was helping, even if it wasn't actually doing so. It's not my favorite, but I like the fan theory that SpongeBob and crew are mutants created by the Bikini Atoll nuclear bomb tests. Hence Bikini Bottom. James Bond is a designation passed from agent to agent rather than a single individual. I thought they showed his parents' graves and they were also Bonds? Yep, pretty much held the multiple Bonds QM theory unless you can also accept that they are only selecting orphans named James Bond to be 007s. Must get tricky finding multiple Alex Trevelyan's. How did I forget it was Alec? No glib remarks or pithy comebacks to that. Kim Jong-un actually wants to democratize and bring his country into the world stage. He's been killing high-ranking members of the military and even some family because those would be the hardliners who would most likely resist such a change. Eventually he'll get rid of everyone who might oppose it and then he'll make the transition. Jaime and Cersei Lannister aren't Tywin's children. They are the bastards of the Mad King, Aerys II Targaryen. Aerys took liberties with Jaime and Cersei's mother, Joanna, at her wedding. The implication is that he raped her or exercised his right of prima nocta, and since he's the Mad King, what's anyone going to do about it? Jaime and Cersei are twins, which is common in the Targaryen bloodline. Jaime and Cersei are incestuous, which is very common for Targaryens. Jaime is sane. Cersei is insane. This duality is also common for Targaryens, as displayed most recently by Viserys and Daenerys. Every time a new Targaryen is born, the gods toss the coin in the air and the world holds its breath to see how it will land. Cersei's madness involves a peculiar fascination with wildfire, the extremely flammable green liquid. She used it in the Battle of Blackwater and, at least in the show, to blow up the September of Bela. Burn them all was the last thing that the Mad King said, so that's another similarity to the Targaryens. The Lannister tradition of the firstborn's name starting with Ty didn't apply to Jaime, but rather to his younger brother, Tyrion, despite him being a deformed dwarf who held his mother in childbirth. Tyrion also has Tywin's intellect, wit, and ruthlessness where Jaime does not. Tywin also seems to trust Tyrion much more than Jaime, making him Hand of the King, for example. Edit. Something else I just thought of is that if Aerys is Jaime's father, then both Jaime and Tyrion are patricides. Not really evidence that Jaime and Cersei are Targs, but it would be an interesting theme for GRRM to include. From The Dark Knight, the Joker is ex-military. Explains combat experience, anti-authority stances, and his ability to psychologically manipulate people. Also explains the line, or a truckload of soldiers will be blown up, nobody panics, because it's all part of the plan. One of the best aspects of Joker is his completely obscured backstory, granted. But I like the idea that this was Nolan's interpretation. Edit, yeah, as others have pointed out below, when I said ex-military, I definitely should have been more specific. I think that his large variety of weapon training and his ability to execute complex plans successfully points towards a more general experience in trained combat. His adeptness at psychological manipulation could point towards ex-CIA, which would explain his lack of records, or it could simply be that his mind was corrupted to his current point of sadism by a tragic past event like seeing all his squad die in a bombing. Notably, in the final fight scene of the movie, Joker is able to disrupt Batman's see-through goggles with a well-placed strike, attack him from behind, and pin him under a girder. Considering Batman's martial arts experience, it would seem unlikely that Joker would be able to overpower him without having any form of combat training. In addition, his pencil disappearing trick is another example of him showing his close combat reflexes. Joker definitely is not known for combat prowess, but there is always the possibility that he hides his abilities to seem like less of a threat. And for the record, I like the killing joke. To quote Joker, "If I'm going to have a past, I prefer it to be multiple choice." In Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, Delphi isn't actually Voldemort's child. She was born from some other dark wizards who are descendants of Slytherin, and just assumed she was related to Voldemort because she can speak Parseltongue. We never actually hear from anyone but her that says she's Voldy's kid, and frankly the thought of Voldemort doing the diddly seems rather unlikely. I disliked that when I first read it, but when I saw this theory it made the entire book play seem better to me. Dexter wasn't a psychopath. He was told from a young impressionable age that he would eventually grow up as one. A kid who was told he could not love, care, or show emotion, eventually became displaced with his emotions going to so far as saying, "I had a weird feeling that if I were capable of it would be called love." He knows what love is and experiences it multiple times throughout the series. Why would he save his foster sister instead of catching the other Kriller if he didn't truly care for her? He had the opportunity. The Matrix actually uses humans as a neural network rather than batteries. Morpheus was just dumbing down his explanation so someone from 1999 would comprehend it. Mostly I just like the original reasoning that was cut more than what was actually used in the movie. Hermione erased her parents' memories after the Quidditch World Cup before their 4th year of school. It was a Tumblr post I read a few years ago and have accepted as fact ever since. I spent 6-7 hours freaking out about it when I read it. It may have holes, but I still haven't dug into any of them yet. Wait, doesn't she actually erase her parents' memories at one point in the series? Yes. It's one of the things the trio did to prepare before going on their camping trip. She wiped their memories and make them move to Australia. The canon from the book is she did it before going to Ron's after the 6th year. The fan theory is that she did it much earlier and didn't tell anyone. Or at least not Harry the reader. I believe that Loki, since the Avengers, has been acting in a way to undermine Thanos and prepare the galaxy for his imminent arrival. When Loki first arrives to claim the Tesseract in the Avengers, he shows multiple signs of torture and possibly even mind control. He has blue-tinged eyes, whereas they'd been green in Thor. Mental connection to the being who gave him the scepter. His sweaty heat torture would be effective against a frost giant, I imagine, and he stumbles at one point and Hawkeye has to grab at him to stop him falling over. So, it looks like Loki has been completely ducked up by someone. The Chitauri? Or maybe Thanos, and I fully believe Loki lost against the Avengers on purpose. If he had truly wanted to claim Earth, he could have snuck in, invisible, done a mind whammy on Fury, gotten control of the Tesseract that way, opened the portal for the Chitauri over the North or South Pole, and have had the entire alien army over Earth before anyone realized it wasn't a usual atmospheric disturbance. Instead, A centuries-old tactical genius with lots of experience in battle opened a bottleneck portal right over his enemy's house after being public enough so as to not just give them time to assemble. And seriously, you think that show in Germany was coincidence? He'd have known about Cap and enough about human history by this point, via Clint, to find the one place that would be sure to get an instant reaction, but also to capture him. And perhaps more telling, after they beat him, instead of disappearing, as we know he so easily can, Loki stayed at the top of the tower waiting for his enemies to come clap him in cuffs to be sent back to Asgard. The only reason, to my mind, that Loki, the original Slytherin, master of tricks and illusions and all-around genius, would allow himself to be so easily defeated and captured was if it was what he had wanted. He did it once, allowing the Avengers to capture him in the first place, so why not again? Loki himself tells Thor to stop falling for his tricks. He's not above reusing his plans if he knows they're going to work in this case. I think his plan was to ensure Earth was prepared with some kind of defense, hence acting in a way that got the Avengers assembled, finally, and also got himself captured, knowing he would in all likelihood be sent back to Asgard. Because who better to keep an eye on him, to keep him safe from harm from Thanos than Odin? Loki doesn't trust Odin, doesn't know if he was a son or a tool, but he trusts in Asgard's strength. Which is why, after that strength has breached in Thor, Dark World, he helps Thor. No point staying somewhere unsafe. Better to get out and find his own way to safety, which will hopefully be expanded upon in the next film. I also think that the reason he went back to Asgard was to see how Odin reacts to news of his death. I think he impersonated a god to tell Odin, and that Odin reacted similarly to how he did to Loki's confrontation in Thor. He fell into the Odin sleep. I believe that Loki would have taken this opportunity to gain the throne so that he could strengthen Asgard in preparation against Thanos, because after the whole shebang of Thor 2, it obviously needed a security upgrade. Don't get me wrong, Loki is crazy. Big ol' bag of cats. And he's a murderer. No denying that. But there isn't one Avenger who doesn't have blood on their hands, who wasn't given the chance for redemption in some way. And the way I see it, it looks like Loki will be given that chance as well, even more so than in Dark World. The way I read it, this is what we're building toward with Ragnarok, and I am really excited to see where they take Loki's character. He's one character I can't help but root for. He's just too interesting to want to see him fail completely, and I honestly think there is way more to his actions than what we've been explicitly shown. Frozen. Hans wasn't the bad guy, the trolls were. First, in traditional troll lore, they kidnap children and replace them with a troll. Kristoff was gathering ice with his dad, sees the trolls. One says, "You're a cutie, I'm gonna keep you." Kidnapped. Next, Hans is only ever kind and generous. Even after she leaves him in charge, he is working hard to help everyone in the city. He loves Anna. But once she meets the trolls, they decide she should be with Kristoff. Hans is perfect, trying to save Elsa, risking his life. Why? What good would that do for his cause? But once Anna gets back to him after being with the trolls, he quite suddenly changes. They clearly messed with him. Their goal could be that they want one of their own as royalty, or they're just looking out for their kidnapped child. But clearly, they are the bad guys. In the Star Wars Extended Universe beyond the movies, now defunct, the galaxy was invaded from beyond the Outer Rim by a massively powerful alien race after the Emperor died. The Sith philosophy isn't inherently evil but holds strength and power above all other virtues. It's essentially a might makes right, the weak need to make way for the strong type of philosophy. Anyway, the fan theory deals with the idea that Palpatine foresaw the alien invasion and did everything in his power to cull the weak and forge a united galaxy strong enough to fight the invasion. I.e., he gets rid of the bickering bureaucracy of the Republic. He unites the galaxy into a single-minded totalitarian empire. He founds the largest single military the galaxy has ever seen. He basically does everything he can to stomp out weakness, dissent, paralyzing bureaucracy in order to turn the galaxy into a single fist against the impending invaders. I enjoy the theory because it changes the Emperor from a scheming villain who thinks power is its own reward to a Sith who applies the Sith philosophy to an entire galaxy in order to stave off a galaxy-spanning threat. Sandy from Greece dies at the beach in the beginning of the movie and the rest is just her imagination before she goes to heaven, and that's why they drive the car away into the sky at the end. Actually, the rebuttal I've heard to that theory comes from a single line earlier in the movie where their shop teacher tells them that if the car were any cooler it would fly. At the end of the movie, Sandy has finally become the cool girl that Danny always wanted, finally giving the car the coolness factor it needs to unlock its aerial potential. In Shutter Island, Leonardo DiCaprio's character was actually a detective investigating the insane asylum, but after days of Drew, Gus and theatrics, he lost touch with reality. The audience, so used to surprise endings, get fooled by the antagonists too.